Good morning. Oh wait, am I recording? Okay.
Wait. Can we stop?
What?
I want to adjust this.
Like that?
You gonna edit this?
I can.
Start. Are you recording now?
It's recording.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are Fred Kluth.
Dion. No, let's start over again. I can't do this.
We can edit it. It's nice to see. Hello.
Hello.
And how are you?
And how?
So I'll do a little intro, and then just let you take up. So I have been recording these videos on YouTube and sharing them on my website monthly, sharing about the medicine that I've learned and about my personal journey and process with healing. And part of this journey, the most enriching, really beautiful part has been my healing journey with my partner, Fred Kluth, and the mirrors we hold for each other, and how we hold each other accountable for being responsible and able to respond and be present for each other and our family, our children, and the community and the world around us and the planet. So the other morning we were having one of our usual rounds of conversations where we're checking in. Usually it goes something like, I notice something's going on with Fred who's not sharing it, and I will ask him how he's doing and what's going on. And this one was such a beautiful share that we wanted to share it with you. It feels really important for men to hear, and for people in partnership, whether you're on a sacred union journey, working spiritually to deepen your connection to spirit, or whether you are just navigating your daily lives with each other. And I'm gonna let Fred speak now. Invite you to share a little bit about.
So we were talking about a period of our lives about 8 years ago. We had one child.
It's 9 years ago. Then Charlotte was in utero.
Yeah. So we had one child. We were living in Jersey City, New Jersey. We had, we were lucky enough to have a 1-bedroom apartment, but the apartment was very small. It was like 600 square feet.
Thank goodness for that gorgeous big back deck.
But it was cramped, and we were pregnant with our second child. We had a few years before dissolved the company that we were working on together, and we had a lot of debt, and I was sort of still navigating what my new career would be like. Although it wasn't 2008 where the economy had collapsed, it was still, our apartment was underwater, not physically underwater, but like financially underwater. And we had dreams of, like many other people at the time, of selling our apartment at a huge amount of money. And we were going to use this to go to the next level. And at that point we were like, what are we going to do? I was very scared. I was very worried about the future. Physically, we were uncomfortable because we had this little apartment. We loved our community, but it was a challenge. And we weren't getting along. I was frozen. I was scared. And I didn't have the tools to really share about that. I had gone through, I think, 3 jobs in about a year. And it was, one job was the account. I work in advertising, so the account the two clients got into a fist fight, so that got put on hold, and then I got let go, and then I got a job at Estee Lauder, which was on paper a really great job, and we were really excited about it. My mom was really excited because she got free makeup, but it became very apparent quickly that I didn't know anything about makeup, and I didn't know how to navigate this really super corporate culture, and I was frozen. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to move.
Yeah, I would say that's more what it was. You were, deer in the headlight in that frozen state. Not that you didn't have the tools, because as we often do, we have the tools. We have everything we need within us, first of all, and then we learned and we trained. Yeah. We learned so much about. Therapy, psychology, and working, mindfulness, meditation, and we had all these tools. But when you're in a triggered trauma state, it's hard to access it without continual practice. That's why it's called a practice.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. It's practice. Yeah. So we were practicing, but
yeah.
We weren't getting along. Deanna was really, really upset with me.
Yeah, I was responding to his frozen state with my own fear, anger, and frustration and despair at seeing this block, this disconnect, and the trajectory that could possibly go. So I was thinking the future, also not staying present, and then just despairing about the fact that we were, not getting along.
And you were really pregnant.
And I was very pregnant.
And then you were also
upset. I was mad that I was
upset and pregnant
in that environment, that energy.
Yeah. So then you were also worried about the future of the baby. That was.
It was very sad.
It was a rough time, and so how do we get through it? So Charlotte was born and had a really easy birth. It was really fast and relatively. I mean, I wasn't. You were had the baby, so she was fine for me. And she was a beautiful girl, a little beautiful girl, and over the next few years, as we try to navigate the still, I was not like, it wasn't like, oh, we had this baby and everything was fine. It was, now we have two babies, a toddler and a baby, this little apartment. Still, my career was sort of still shifting around a lot, and I wasn't very happy with it. And part of it was because I did a career change. I had started my career trying to be a creative director, an animator, an illustrator. And through the process of starting my own company, I realized that it wasn't actually making me happy. And it was a difficult adjustment for having spent, good almost 35, so about 20 years of my career trying to be a creative and have my own content, and wanting to be a comic book artist and an illustrator and create a world. And then when I actually had the opportunity, I didn't want to do it. And then it was
much more social, needing that contact.
I couldn't sit 12 hours in front of a computer to do this stuff. It wasn't bringing me any joy.
What's the to-do?
And
what should I add?
Computer, stop. We renamed Siri Computer.
Our Siri's needy. And I think that actually, thank you. And I didn't know what I needed, and I didn't know how to get what I needed. I didn't even know how to talk about what I needed. I didn't know. And we did men's work, and I did.
And you're conditioned not to.
Yeah, as a human, as
connect
a male,
to your needs or show that you have needs.
Right. So we went through a long process, and we started to do this womb awakening work, and it was introduced to us by our friend Carol, and we worked on these 40-day cycles where you would do a guided meditation and a journey and yoga, like yoga moves, and the cosmology of it was about embracing the divine feminine and coming into balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And it started to soften both of us and slowly bring us back to what was important to us and our relationship and dedicating ourselves to each other. And
it wasn't a direct, ascension. It was a bumpy path. We would connect and come together, and then things would get worse again, and we're disconnected, and it did get even worse actually for a little bit. And I remember reaching out to Carol, who was mentoring us through our work with Womb Awakening, and she guided me to move closer to him. So in my state, our both of us states of feeling angry, resentful, building up resentment, so easy to do in partnership. We moved closer together, and I remember that time we sat in front of each other and tried to be vulnerable with each other. And it's really hard.
Yeah, but it was that softening that allowed me to soften.
Opened the door.
It opened the door, and that sort of was like a floodgate. After that, it was like it became a lot easier. And one of the tenets that I really appreciated in this work and was the idea of the sacred masculine being I don't want to say in service to the divine feminine, but I think that it's a supporting role. It's that through my tending the garden through my actions, I'm supporting Diana and the sacred feminine and my two daughters. And through this support and through this kind of purpose, it allowed you to bloom and allowed you to soften. And then
it's reciprocal.
And then I soften, and then you soften, and then I soften, and it opened up a lot of healing
and strengthened our bond. Right in the softening, it seems ironic, but it's in the softening and being vulnerable that we become stronger and more united, and are able to flow with that energy that is connected to everything. So connecting with our purpose and our infinite possibilities,
and I think
not separated from that. When we're frozen, when we're hard and strong,
and wanting to get our way, and
then we cut ourselves off from not only each other but everything.
So in the sense of like being yourself, sometimes yourself is a vulnerable person and soft, and those two things aren't necessarily the same, but it's about being an honest representation of yourself, speaking from your heart, and
the purpose of the work of working together like this, it's even bigger than us. It's not just so that we connect with each other and deepen our relationships, but because then we're not disconnecting from everything, we can also take care and be mindful and accessible for our community, to be in service to community and to take care of this planet.
One of the things I learned during this time was that I started to, I'm sure many of you have heard of mindfulness and being mindful in your actions, and that moment where you just sort of pause and you can make different choices, or you become aware of the choices that you're making.
Bring space
into those kind of pivotal moments. One of the things that really started to happen over this time is that I started to ask myself, well, how can I choose love? How in this moment can I deepen this connection or this relationship? And, sometimes it's little things, And I think most of the time it's little things, it's like just a little bit of support you can give or the little bit of affection that can open the door for more.
Yeah, or even just the shift of energy in that mindfulness. You sometimes don't even have to say anything or do anything, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel whether someone standing next to you resents you or, is open to exchange and receive and give love. So it's this connecting that toroidal energy flow in this sacred union.
And the toroidal energy flow is like the in and out, like it changes, goes from Tiana to me, to Tiana, and it expands and our hearts grow. And then we can have more capacity to love everyone else, ourselves. And, like as you love yourself, I open my heart to Diana, and then Diana loves more, and then I love myself more.
And if for those of you who don't or aren't familiar with that, every living being, everything has that flow. The electromagnetic field of the earth is that flow of energy, and it flows in and out of us also from both sides, and trees, plants, and we exchange, we interact and are part of the same flow of energy. Every cell in our body has those toroidal flows of energy.
And I think that, you can do a lot of work, and you can go through womb awakening, teacher training, and you can dedicate your life to it. But I think that the most important thing that started us on this path was, remembering that we were dedicating our lives to each other, we had made vows and to each other, and they were, very important to me and Diana, and to go back to that and be like, I've made this vow and I feel it in my heart, and I want to make sure that stays alive in me. And by dedicating myself to love and to connecting and healing, and why am I doing this? It's because I love you, and I love our family, and I love myself most of the time, and I'm learning how to expand that love and to share it.
So we had a little chat on an interview, and which we'll link when we present this one, this video. There was more that we wanted to talk about. We had just a few days before the interview on an Emerging Forest podcast, where we're talking about working together to create more spaces for joy. We were laying in bed one morning or evening, and I remember, and began this conversation, and remembering and talking about, actually really for the first time very deeply about that time period, and looking back, because I had also forgotten some of it about that time period when I was pregnant with Charlotte. And then, after that talk, we were then able to talk with Charlotte about it and share with her, her gestation experience, and knowing how we were gestated in fear, or, we all come through like this wounded womb in this world, because this world is not in balance, is not is carrying generations of trauma. That really this current time period is an intersection of so many souls working to heal those traumas, consciously or not. It's part of our evolution, and I, in sharing that, we just hope that she can understand more of where, some of these influences, it makes so much sense for her to grapple with, her own anger and fear might have come from, we all come with our own soul, history, but are also steeped in our parents. We make these choices. If you believe that, we make these contracts to heal, we come together. And so we're trying to consciously work together, not only with each other, but with our children to, not pass on any more trauma.
Right. And, I regret that she had that energy about her when she was in utero, but there's nothing I can do about it now.
And that was maybe the medicine that was needed.
When the medicine
to
now
catalyze the healing.
To maybe this is what she needs to go through now to, to understand. And me, all of us, it's all what it is.
So we don't know 100%, with the mind, but just dropping in to our hearts and, really into our bodies, we can sense and feel what is true and be guided by that and by love.
Yeah.
Wanted to kiss you. Anything you missed? Well, we're gonna. Fred wrote a little bit about this, and we'll share that in the post if there's anything he left out.
Right. And if you have any questions or you want to find out a little bit more about our process or how we got to, there's some practical tools that we used, some practices that helped us get into a better place of communication, and we can write about that as well.
Yeah, reach out if you want to talk more.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.